r/AskReddit. Food industry staff of Reddit. What are some horrors you saw yesterday on Valentine's Day? Chef made a special menu. No one ordered a single thing from it. This was an Irish pub, mind you, and was more of a runoff for those not celebrating. Waste of food and labor cost. Was my first shift. Got a 50-cent tip on a $60 bill. Really felt the love then. Her. Man. This is a really great steak. Him. Did you say this is a really great date? Her. No. Had a woman come into a fine dining restaurant and tell me she was allergic to allium, garlic, shallot, etc., processed sugar, gluten and salt. It was borderline torture to empathize. It's a 4-course prix menu for 50/person. Her partner had a bomb-ass meal and such a wonderful experience. She essentially had crispy rice, steamed broccoli and cauliflower, pepper-rubbed Arctic char, and skipped dessert. She did not have a wonderful experience. I would have felt bad for her, but we go out of our way to give them the menu ahead of time. Call to confirm that you're okay with the reservation and menu, and approve that the 50 price was legit. But she just kept throwing a stink because she must have expected us to create an entirely new menu just for her, and it should have been just as amazing as the other food our 250 guests were eating. In the end, I charged her full price and got that 20% tip. A note for those who don't restaurant often. Don't assume you're special on a holiday where everyone thinks they're special. You're not that special. 5 hours of Full House. Very angry chef. Plates stacking up in the window. Hour-long wait times for food. Beautiful scallops though. This is something that happened to me directly. I thought my boyfriend and I had decided to get each other small gifts. Like chocolate and flowers, you know. I come home from work to red ribbon covered boxes with over $00 worth of gorgeous jewelry. You know what I got him? A 5 gift card to Applebee's. He loves to drink there with his friends because it's cheap. I really thought I was being clever or funny. Edit. The agreement was passively mentioning flowers would be enough of a gift for me. A very casual conversation. He wasn't purposefully trying to outgift me. He was just being a sweetheart. I wasn't working there, but a table next to mine had an absolute meltdown because their food took long to arrive. Most of them just left and the last few asked if they could just box it up and leave when the food arrived. They got it all on the house. What does long mean in this context? I'd say like 35 to 45 minutes. It was a nice Italian restaurant. The waiter was actually really nice. I tipped him well. He was obviously frustrated too and did his best to update us on the food. 35 minutes on a universally ducked up night like Valentine's is fairly decent. Honestly, I don't think I'd mind waiting for 35 minutes on a regular day if the restaurant is nice. Just a bystander here, but I walked into a grocery store yesterday evening, which was pretty packed with last-minute frantic-looking Valentine's Day shoppers. I walked in at the same time as another man with a confused look on his face, and I hear him say out loud to himself, "Man, the store is pretty packed for a Friday evening." Then, we both turn the corner and are met with all of the last-minute flower arrangements and Valentine's cards layout, and I see the man completely freeze and again out loud. He says, "Oh number no. Today is Valentine's Day." Shocks, I'm so ducked. As he quickly runs to the chocolate section, joining the rest of the panic-stricken dudes with the same looks on their faces. Hope those dudes are all still alive this morning. Not a staff, but a bystander. My wife and I went to Cheesecake Factory for lunch, in a bid to avoid the crowds. Next to us, a dude got down on one knee and proposed. Yes, in a Cheesecake Factory. The waitress was filming it. People were watching. She saw the ring and started crying. He smiled, and all looked good. Dart. Except when my wife and I left 20 minutes later, she was still crying, covering her face, and he wasn't smiling anymore. I couldn't hear well enough to know what they were talking about, but they kept speaking in low voices. Didn't look good. Proposing to someone in a Cheesecake Factory has got to be the least romantic thing ever. My dad proposed to my mom in a McDonald's. Sounds shocky, I know, but my mom was pregnant at the time and craved Big Macs. My dad got all dressed up one day and told my mom he had made reservations at some restaurant and wanted to treat her. She refused over and over again and desperately wanted a Big Mac. So they ended up going to McDonald's and my dad popped the question. I think that's cute as duck. Sounds like Homer proposing to Marge with an onion ring. It's not about being fancy. It's about what you feel for one another. And the important thing is that is good for you, not the bystanders. Had a woman at my place get extremely pissy because she wanted her prime rib sizzling hot but also rare as possible. Like, lady, have you ever actually eaten prime rib or have any idea what the process is? Jesus Christ. Hey, I think I can translate. She wanted a ribby Pittsburgh rare and didn't know what it's called. What the duck is Pittsburgh rare? Burnt on the outside, bloody on the inside. I've always heard that called black and blue. A man came in and ordered 50 quarter pounders at the McDonald's I work at. I got off just before we started making them, so I lucked out. But if you know how the kitchens work at McDonald's, you know the horror this entails. Edit. For those asking, this is a horror because we only had 2 grills because we closed the other 2 for the night. And you can only cook 3 quarter pounder patties at a time on one grill. So imagine making this order only being able to cook 6 at a time. Edit 2. The grills we use are about 1 foot by 1 foot cooking area. So we can max at about 6 reg patties or 3 quarter patties. Edit 3. For those wondering, it makes life so much easier if you call in an order like this 30 minutes to an hour before you come to the restaurant. Those of you who call in your big orders, you all are literally saints, and those of us who work grill really appreciate you. Edit 4. This was not in DC. So the pizza place I work for cuts all the pepperoni pizzas into hearts, and we had to make about 450 of those, plus 250 more pizzas, in 4 hours. Our slogan is take and bake, so obviously we make the pizzas and you take them and bake them at home. Several times, we had people get their pizzas at the end of the line and go, "It's not cooked." Deadpan. My coworker looked at them and said yes to every single one of them. Also, I took a phone call and I said, "When will you be coming to get your pizza?" And she goes, "Actually, I'd like it delivered." Needless to say, we didn't deliver it and she hung up. Too long. Didn't read sold 700 pizzas in 4 hours, and people should just read our slogan. I bartended. I'm assuming this couple was on a date. They just ordered their food. In less than 10 minutes of their date, I saw the girl take a drink, and I mean a full 20-ounce beer, and throw it on the guy. It hit the people behind him, the walls, and it soaked the floor. She immediately walked out almost in tears. The guy's face as he just sat there soaked in beer was indescribable. It was the most movie-like breakup I've ever seen happen in real life. I worked at a fine dining restaurant years ago. A middle-aged guy comes up to me, hands me a gorgeous sapphire and diamond ring, just gorgeous, and asks me to have the pastry chef included with his companion's dessert. The chef found beautiful blooms to decorate her dessert plate and placed the ring in the middle of one. She saw the ring, took it out of the flower, and placed it on the table. Then, she picked up her fork and started to eat her dessert without saying anything at all. The ring must have been an extravagant I screwed up apology on his part, and she was having none of it. I was tempted to say, if she doesn't want the ring, I do. I work in a kitchen at a popular steakhouse. We had a wait of over 200 parties and we ran out of buzzers. Things were a mess. Anyway, we had a new guy working that night because everyone has quit. He sent out steaks all at the wrong temp. We had mediums come back well and well dones go out rare. No specific disaster, but that was the worst and so hard to watch. Man, watching this happen while being a helpless FO person is so brutal. My restaurant is Michelin rated, and on Valentine's Day we do over 250 guests with 2 line chefs. One on grill and one on saute. That's it for 250 plus guests. Last year the grill cook had a total meltdown. Just throwing shit behind the line. Talking about how he should just quit and start a new life because he sucks at cooking. And every time we thought he might make it out of the weeds, a steak would get sent back and he'd lose it all over again. Meanwhile there's a line of servers standing at the bar slowly developing ulcers waiting for their food to come out. Terrible to watch. Totally felt for him. Work at a pizza place. Heart-shaped pizzas that took twice as long to put in a pan. And nobody was allowed to order ahead of time because corporate thought it'd be hella busy. Online orders weren't going through properly, so we had some customers waiting for their pizza for a solid 40 to 50 minutes. Short-staffed on delivery drivers as well. Overall pretty stressful. Edit. Hungry Howie's. More of a American chain, but good guesses. So, I had some guy who couldn't get the concept of ravioli. He kept asking if we hollowed out a spaghetti, his words, and stuffed it with lobster. I said no, but we did use pasta. He kept reiterating that he wanted a pasta. It finally dawned on me. Sir, do you think that spaghetti is the Italian word for pasta? His date was clearly unimpressed, but I finally get him down for an order of lobster ravioli, even though he still seemed unaware of what he was actually ordering. After he got his food, ate one of the ravioli, he said to me, like I was the dumbest shit on the planet, "Bro, all you had to do was tell me that they were boyardies. I know what those are." One of our favorite regular customers brought in her boyfriend for the first time, and in her excitement she bumped into a table and knocked someone's cup off. Which isn't bad, but in her haste to pick up the cup she hit her head on the corner of the metal table and cut her forehead open. It looked like a mini crime scene. Edit. I didn't expect this to get so much attention. She's totally fine. We cleaned her up and gave them a stack of free food cards because she's awesome and we love her. Bartender here, not my guest but a guest in the restaurant, threw up on his steak not even a minute after it was placed in front of him. His date kept surprisingly calm for that scenario. Food court at the mall. Just a lot of dudes standing or sitting at a table for hours with flowers, gifts, etc. Some of their dates showed up, some left alone. Holy shocks, this literally was me, hahaha. Albeit a bit different. I surprised my girlfriend at work with her favorite cupcakes. She asked me to have lunch with her, but she had a lot of work to do, so I had to wait for her alone in the mall food court for over half an hour. At least you knew she was coming, lol. Unlike most of these guys who definitely got ghosted.